Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. The number of coronavirus deaths in the United States surpassed 100,000 today, and that includes another victim here in Yellowstone County. Meanwhile, Montana's streak of 5 consecutive days without a reported COVID-19 case was also snapped late this afternoon, with 2 more positive cases, both here in our area. We know tonight that the latest case here in Yellowstone County involves an inmate at the Yellowstone County Detention Center in Billings. Yellowstone County Sheriff Mike Linder has confirmed with Q2 that a test on a female inmate came back positive late this afternoon, but the patient was hospitalized last week. 2 staff members had tested positive in March at the jail, but this is the first known case among inmates. Late this afternoon, Bighorn County confirmed its latest positive. The patient is a male in his teens and is recovering at home tonight. Health officials tell us he is unassociated with any previously known case. This new case brings the county's total to 9 positive cases. Also today, state health officials announced another COVID-19 related death here in Yellowstone County. A woman in her 80s has died from coronavirus complications, marking the 17th death in Montana. There are now 22 active cases across the state. Bighorn County will hold 2 days of coronavirus testing starting tomorrow. Then officials are encouraging everyone to get tested. The idea is to get the largest number of people in a community to come in and test so they can get a better spotlight on how prevalent COVID-19 is and how many people may be positive without even knowing it. So they're asking everyone who's willing to drive by and be tested.
And is specific to the asymptomatic individuals. I think that gives us that appropriate surveillance look at this juncture of the cycling of the coronavirus here in Montana.
And I thought it was interesting, especially asking for young people between the ages of 18 and 36 to come in. Why is that so important?
Well, right now, according to the data, the analytics from the state, DPHHS, Department of Public Health and Human Services, the age category of 20 to 29 is 20%. And then the next category for impact with the coronavirus is that 50 to 59.
Testing will be conducted tomorrow from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. at the Crow Northern Cheyenne Hospital and Crow Agency. Governor Bullock will be making a stop there at noon, and 22 National Guard members will be on hand to assist with the testing. Then on Thursday, testing continues from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. That'll be at Hardin High School. All you need is your phone number, address, date of birth. There's no cost. And again, they're asking everyone in Bighorn County who is willing to do so to be tested. Well, 2 ballot measures to help shore up the city of Billings' finances may be headed for a decision by voters in November. The city council is still in session, but the body is expected to make a decision whether to approve a draft ballot language tonight. Now, if voters do approve both measures, the city would bring in an additional $8 million in tax revenue, helping to fill an expected $5 million budget shortfall. Now, after filling the gap, the remaining $3 million could then be invested in public safety. One ballot measure would amend a mill levy previously passed by Billings voters in 2004. The other would repeal the current Parks District funding mechanism for city parks and replace it with a mill levy of equal size. Council moves forward with the measures tonight. They will be brought back for a first reading at a council meeting on June 8th. For the latest on the Billings City Council's decision tonight, you can keep an eye on KTVQ.com or our mobile app. Billings High School seniors wrapped up their public education over the weekend with a socially distanced graduation ceremony. Q2's Mitch Legge checked in with Superintendent Greg Upham today to see how things went and what's next.
It was a true community effort to pull off the 3 graduation ceremonies inside the First Interstate Arena in Billings on Sunday. With the help of disease specialists, county officials, Metro Park staff, and school staff, the class of 2020 was recognized. Superintendent Greg Upham told me today that parents and students with all 3 high schools complied with proper health procedures. One change that had to be made between the Skyview and senior ceremonies was that more teacher volunteers were added to the student entry to police social distancing. With graduation now wrapped up, administrators are looking ahead to the summer months. In the coming weeks, the first session of summer school for high schoolers will start on June 8th. Upham said that summer support for kindergarten through 8th grade is being planned to start later in the summer. Those classes paid for with the help of about $6 million from the Federal CARES Act. The district hasn't seen the CARES Act money yet, but Upham said he expects it to be available to the district soon.
Fairly soon, we should be able to gain access to that. And, we've stacked some expenditures with cleaning and copying and PPE equipment, those kind of things. And then this is the week that everyone turns their devices back in. We have 5,000 out there. I'm holding my breath as they come back in. I'm hoping all 5,000 come back and they're usable. That could be a large dollar item if they don't come back in good shape.
Now, that money that the district will receive from the Federal CARES Act must be spent on COVID-19 related expenses like sanitation or learning help for students. In Billings, Mitch Schlaggy, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Mitch. The superintendent also wanted to remind the community about the elementary school mill levy on the ballot for Billings voters on July 7th. And to learn more about the levy, you can visit ktvq.com. Well, 4 Minnesota police officers involved in a street confrontation that left a man dead have been fired from their jobs. Nancy Chen has more.
Less than 24 hours after this disturbing arrest was caught on camera, the Minneapolis Police Department fired 4 of the officers involved.
Please, I can't breathe.
The speed of the dismissals underscored the growing outrage over the Memorial Day death of George Floyd.
I can't breathe. Please, the name of it.
On a video posted to social media, bystanders are heard urging the officers to use less force.
He's not even resisting arrest right now. Check his pulse, bro. Bro, check his pulse, bro. You bogus, bro.
Within minutes, Floyd was unresponsive.
Officers were able to get the suspect into handcuffs, and officers noticed that the male was going into medical distress.
He was later pronounced dead at Hennepin County Medical Center. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry apologized to the city's African-American community.
I've been trying to find the words to describe what happened. And all I keep coming back to is that he should not have died.
Protesters gathered at the scene of Floyd's arrest on Tuesday evening. Many called for the fired officers to face charges in his death. The Minneapolis police chief has asked the FBI to join the investigation into the incident. Nancy Chen, CBS News.
Investigators say the officers involved were wearing body cameras and they were activated at the time of the incident. Now, police are investigating a reported stabbing that happened in downtown Billings this evening. They were called to the parking lot of Albertsons on North 27th Street around 7:30 tonight. A 31-year-old man was found a couple blocks away with a wound to his upper torso. Police tell us he was panhandling in that area and is believed to have gotten into an argument with another panhandler. The victim was taken to the hospital by ambulance with what are described as serious but non-life-threatening injuries. No word on any arrest yet. An SUV barreled through the front porch of a home in downtown Billings today. Just before noon, emergency crews were called to 34 Broadwater Avenue. The eastbound SUV appeared to have first struck and knocked down a street light, narrowly missed a large tree before crashing through the front porch. A woman and child were being attended to by EMTs but did not appear to have serious injuries. The residents of the house were able to exit without injury. All right, turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. And Bob, while many people are looking forward to warmer temperatures, not exactly good news for river levels.
Yeah, because they've been going up and down the last few weeks, and now we're probably going to see them rise with more water being melted out of the mountains. Let me show you where we're at right now, though, just kind of give you a base place where we're at. The Yellowstone River in Billings, it's at 6.64 feet. Flood stage, as you see, is 13.5. Livingston, the Yellowstone River there is at 5.62. Flood stage there is about 10 feet. So that's about halfway up, a little more than halfway. Shields River, kind of the same way, about halfway up. Flood stage there is 5.5 there, 2.69. The Clark's Fork of the Yellowstone over there by Bridger, that's at the 3.61, and that flood stage is at 8.5. That's not much to worry about. The Stillwater at Absaroka, that's 3.64. Flood stage there is right about 7.5. And we'll have more in your forecast, your hot weekend weather coming up in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob. State Attorney General Tim Fox asked the Montana Supreme Court today to overturn a judge's ruling on the deadline for counting mailed absentee ballots next week. A state district judge in Billings ruled last Friday that if a mailed primary election ballot is postmarked by Election Day, it must be counted. Well, Fox is asking the Supreme Court to take control of the case and block the judge's order while deciding that issue. He's asking the High Court to maintain the current rule, which says that mailed absentee ballots are counted only if they arrive at county election offices by Election Day. Montana is in the midst of its first statewide election with all mail-in ballots. Voting in the primary election began May 9th and is continuing through next Tuesday, Election Day. And if the Supreme Court accepts the case, the High Court is expected to fast-track a ruling before Election Day. Donors to Democratic gubernatorial candidate Whitney Williams are also funding a separate political action committee, but the Williams campaign says it's totally separate from her campaign. Records show that the Sixth Generation PAC had paid $18,000 this year to two consultants which work for the Williams campaign. The Williams campaign says those payments are for work that the consultants have done for the PAC. PACs are not allowed to pay expenses for a candidate unless those expenses are reported by the candidate and stay within contribution limits. All but one of the donors to the Sixth Generation PAC have already given the maximum allowable amount to Williams' campaign. Williams is competing against Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney for the Democratic nomination for governor. The Williams campaign says the Sixth Generation PAC is similar to a PAC that Cooney has raised money for to help Democratic candidates and causes. The Sixth Generation PAC did give $3,300 to the state Democratic Party in March. Well, COVID-19 halted most sports in the United States, but it hasn't kept Montanans from placing their bets. Sports Bet Montana opened kiosks all across the state shortly before the COVID-19 pandemic. The Montana Lottery said sports wagering is still happening, even with limited sporting events. The sport with the most money wagered up to this point is mixed martial arts, with over $30,000. Baseball, specifically Korean baseball, comes in second with over $21,000 wagered. Golf also seeing some action with over $15,000 wagered.
Seeing them participate in Sports Bet Montana kind of exactly as we thought they would, not necessarily in the specific sports that we thought they would, but with a certain kind of enthusiasm. I mean, we knew there was a lot of demand and excitement for Sports Bet Montana. And now that people are able to be in those locations, we are starting to see the product really taking off.
Well, still to come on tonight's Q2 10 o'clock news, we're going to meet the woman who brings to life Governor Steve Bullock's news conferences for the deaf and hard of hearing. And in sports, Scott shows us how this Miles City triple threat athlete is sharpening his baseball skills for the college diamond.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.